Hello everyone and welcome to another Atomic Mass Transmissions Live. I'm Director of Product Development for Atomic Mass Games, Will Schick. I'm excited that you can join myself and Dallas, who I'll be bringing on here shortly for the third week of our monthly May roster challenge. So for those of you who might not have watched the past 2 weeks or need to get caught up to speed, effectively for the month of May, Dallas and myself took on the challenge of painting an entire Marvel Crisis Protocol roster of 10 characters in 1 month. Now to add some fun and some flavor to that, we actually had a community vote to help fill out the roster. So Dallas and I only picked 5 initial characters. Then over the course of the last couple of weeks, we've had the community and the chat specifically vote on 4 additional characters to add to our rosters. We've been painting these characters, pulling them all together, telling our own story, and building a narrative around them that I'm really excited to continue to dive into. We're probably going to chat a little bit about how things have turned out over the course of the picks. Last week, we had our last 9th slot filled out by the community. We have one super secret 10th spot, which we will not reveal until we start playing games with these rosters the first week of June. I think the game is going to be scheduled for June 3rd. BK can get in there and tell y'all which the exact date is, but we're going to be putting these rosters on the table, seeing how they function, seeing how they turned out after the community and ourselves work together to create this kind of cool roster over the course of May. With that said, let's get off this camera, let's get on the stars of the camera, and let's welcome in one Mr. Dallas Kemp.
Hello.
How you doing today, Dallas?
What's up?
Not much. I've got a Venom that I'm going to paint here, and he was in my initial 5 that I picked, and he's like the last one I'm going to paint because I really have been kafletzing over how to paint him in the Guardians color scheme that I picked for my roster.
Yeah, we've talked several times about this character and what you're doing with him and how to make him tie to the rest of your roster, getting that like interesting cohesive story and uniform look. But I feel like you're on it.
I mean, at this point, I just kind of been going what I'm going to call the cowards route, and I'm just painting the symbiote, the dark navy blue of all of the Guardian suits, and then I'm going to do all of the traditional white parts of Venom, the sanguine like red wine color that I've been using, and that will basically tie hopefully everything together really well. I also finally worked on my bases, so my basing is cohesive throughout all of my characters now, and I got to paint those next, but I'll do that with an airbrush probably off camera because I want to try to get a cool like alien night world look to the overall effect on the ground and everything. So
I actually had a change of heart over the weekend and changed my glow on Ultron to teal.
Oh, nice.
Which means the glowing eyes on Captain Marvel went to teal.
Everything went to teal.
Which means the glowing eyes on Ghost Spider went to teal.
Which
means the fire on Crystal went to teal.
Oh dear.
So
it's one sweeping change there.
Yeah, I don't know. I kept looking at it and like I wanted it to pop more, and I knew Ghost Rider was, being worked on, and I was just like, you know what? Let's just go teal. It'll look better, and it's more contrasty against the magenta.
Yeah, well, you started with that whole plan. I mean, right from the start, you're like, I'm going to do magenta as like the side artsy highlight color. And you've never really deviated from that. It took me a little while to figure out what I wanted to do with my color scheme and suits, but once I came up with kind of the narrative behind the roster and how it all made sense, I was like, let's do this. So Guardians colors it is.
Yeah, I like that you've got your story. Your color scheme is matching your story. We're just kind of telling our little Marvel Crisis Protocol little fun narrative together, and because that's what it's all about, right? So
yeah, like normally when I approach painting all the Crisis Protocol characters, it's always been about mimicking favorite comic book costume color schemes and stuff, and just letting every individual be eclectic, and so it looks like that huge crossover event where all of the heroes come together and they do their thing and everybody looks like they do in their individual runs. But with having a limited roster of 10 characters, and kind of making it its own thing, it opened up that possibility to be like, okay, well now now I get to pretend to be kind of the creative team that's doing the latest, team up book,
Yep.
the new series. How am I going to take these different characters and make them into a team? And they always get like unique costume changes. You think like Agent Venom goes to space, joins the Guardians of the Galaxy, becomes Space Knight Venom. And so it was a fun opportunity to kind of like brain think that and be like, okay. So my overall story became looking at the roster that I chose, which was just purely based on characters I wanted to paint. Again, and I have fun playing with. And then the community chose Rocket Raccoon and Punisher, and I was like, well, okay, how do I pull all this together? And the thought quickly became, well, wouldn't it be cool if the Earth was kind of destroyed or trashed in some cosmic war between the Spartax and the Skrulls and the Kree, because that always happens, but this time disaster wasn't averted. And so they kind of all, the remaining heroes get picked up by a Rocket Raccoon who's lost Groot, and Star-Lord's missing, and so many heroes are gone, and he and Gamora grab all these other characters, and they're like, well, let's go to space and let's get some revenge. So we have the Revengers of the Galaxy, as we've named them over the course of these different streams. And they're all kind of not the nice heroes per se. They definitely would belong in a Revengers style team. And so I gave them the very iconic Guardians of the Galaxy colors with the navy blue and kind of the really deep red wine spot highlights, and it's been really fun to kind of pull everything together and think about that.
Looks really cool.
Yeah, it's been fun, and I mean, everyone like kind of comes together, and I got to do some fun conversions, and I can show off. I have like 4 of them, or I have 5 of them done currently. So, like here's, see if we can get them all on the cameras. There's Taskmaster, my converted Punisher, and Medusa, all rocking their Guardian colors. And so these are really fun. I gave. Because I converted the Punisher out of a Star-Lord and a Punisher kit, I used the rocket boots for Taskmaster, because I thought, Taskmaster totally take like rocket boots. And then
he sees the loot pile left from a Star-Lord.
He sees it. He knows what's happening.
And he goes, claimed.
And then we have we got Gamora and Rocket, the OG Guardians who have helped form the team. So they're all painted and completed, and I have Enchantress, who I started on last stream with Punisher, and she's pretty close. I might work on her a little bit today. But I mounted her on Storm's Lightning, because I figure Thor is probably presumed dead, so she's going to be pretty angry about that. So I just put her on the Lightning, and then, of course, I did unique bases and stuff, because I wanted to have them not on Earth, or if they're on Earth, it's like a destroyed Earth, and that was kind of that. I'm totally going to need to work on Enchantress while this Venom dries, though, because he's so wet.
Oh, look at him. He's so glossy.
He's so glossy. We'll switch over. It's fine. I got my Ishtar flesh ready to go. Yeah, so it's been fun. It's been fun to pull everything together and kind of think about it, and I think once the bases are done and all, it's going to be pretty awesome. Oh, and I got Thanos. I haven't really figured out why Thanos and Ebony Maw got pulled onto this team, but I got the big bad boy Thanos, so I did a unique base for him. And then my goal is to do a cape for him out of some sculpting clay. I haven't gotten to that part yet, but I did assemble him. You can probably see that I drilled out all the Infinity Gems on the gauntlet. And that's because I'm going for Thanos from the Secret Wars Battle World Infinity Gauntlet run, and in that it's kind of like that run. It's this post-apocalyptic kind of wasteland world where the Nova Corps has been destroyed. It follows this family of Nova Corps folks, and Thanos shows up, and of course his goal is to get the whole Infinity Gauntlet, but he joins forces with them as kind of his master scheme to achieve his goal of assembling the Infinity Gauntlet and all the gems. And he has this like cool post-apocalyptic look. He's got half a cloak, and he's got the gauntlet, but he doesn't have any of the gems in it and all that stuff. So I thought it would be a really cool fit for the overall um, grim future, or the grim setting that I have for these heroes here. So we're going to do that and hopefully make a Thanos that'll fit in and look really cool with the rest of the team. And I haven't decided if I'm going to do anything with Ma yet. I have him assembled. I've seen a lot of really amazing conversions on like his pile of rubble that he floats on, you know? And people have taken that to the extreme degree, and I think that could be kind of cool. I also kind of feel like maybe he's fine just by himself. And we just leave him as is, you know? I don't know yet. I haven't made that decision.
You can really get creative with that, with the rubble.
You can definitely take it to some super extremes for sure.
Yeah, I'm playing more of the villains.
Well, you added that magenta glow. That was a pure giveaway, sir.
And look, sometimes you just gotta lean into the fact you're the bad guy.
Evil magenta glow all the way.
Although I think I have more heroes, quote quote heroes, on my team than you do.
I think that's probably true. Depending now with the latest votes, I think you're probably right. I mean, I'm not going to claim that I picked a team of heroes. I definitely have morally gray characters in general.
I don't.
You do not. That's what makes them just being pure evil all the better, right?
I have Captain Marvel. I have Ghost Spider. Ghost Spider's definitely morally gray. I got Ultron. He's definitely a bad guy. But then I got Doctor Strange and She-Hulk. Those are definitely heroes.
I mean, you never know. They could be from a different universe. There's a lot of what if potential there. And it's not like all of those characters haven't at one point or another been mind controlled, had amnesia, gotten infected with some kind of nanite virus, been cosmic cube changed. Like there's a million and one reasons as to why those characters, you know, might be loving the magenta glow, reveling in their evil magenta glow action.
It begs the question: who's behind this band of villains?
I know. Who is it? Who could it be? We'll never know. Never know. Want my... Where's the color? I want my bone color. I guess I'll use this.
I know who
But
it
yeah,
is.
we had a couple of folks who are just starting out in the game in the chat talking about how to go about picking a roster, and I mean, you know, affiliations and stuff are they're useful, but I think right now I'm playing completely affiliation list. I have one character with a leadership, which is Thanos, but I don't plan on using it. And I think you have a lot of leaders, but have you hit an affiliation cap yet?
I can yes, I can do A-Force.
Okay, yeah, you can do A-Force.
Because I have
Crystal, She-Hulk. Okay.
But that's it. Like I have that, but Defenders for Doctor Strange, I only have 2 Defenders. So technically at 17 points I could take what did we say the other day? Doctor Strange, She-Hulk, and Ghost Rider?
Yeah, you could do that. That would do.
And just have a 3-character force, which I'm not opposed to.
It certainly fits your playstyle. You like playing the big hitter lists.
Oh, so much.
Remember at a time when we were testing the Asgardians, and it was like every time you sat at the playtest table, it was like, well, I'm gonna take Thor and Angela, and then I'll figure out something else. And it was just like, Maybe not every time, but you stress tested the hell out of those two characters being on the same squad.
Yep, and Hella. I'm like, okay, I need Hella.
Yeah, hella. I have to be honest, I'm a little shocked that Hella didn't make it into the initial rosters for you.
She was on the short list for sure.
Because I definitely had her on my short list as well, and then I was like, Dallas will probably wind up taking her.
I try to focus on stuff that I just thought would be cool. I mean, there's so many things that would have worked. So it's so many characters work for what we're doing. So it was
Hmm.
it was not easy for sure, right?
No, it's really difficult. Like I'm really struggling right now just to pick the. Uh, I'm struggling right now just to pick my tenth character. Like I'm trying to, because I really want to pick somebody that's gonna feel right with the narrative um, and all that stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, who's gonna fill out the roster and what's gonna look really cool thematically and all this stuff, and it's tough. Like there's a lot that could be cool. And I'll be honest, Ronan is really pulling on my heartstrings because I just love that character, and he does feel like he'd fit really well, just thematically with everything that's going on in my roster and kind of the narrative behind it. And I love playing with Ronan on the table,
He's a lot of fun.
mostly because I get to yell about people being accused a lot.
You're judged.
You stand accused. And then you bash him in the face with your big universal weapon, and you're like, yes, this is the best. So it definitely a strong play. Kind of thought maybe like I've toyed back and forth with, well, what if MODOK was the one behind it all?
Oh,
Yeah, just like in the wings, some crazy cockamamie MODOK aim scheme here.
he's like, behold my genius.
That's right. But I feel like Ma wouldn't really let that get away.
Yeah, I don't think Ma would like stand for that. He'd be
No.
like, we'll let this guy go for a little bit, but
Ma's not one to get tricked, especially in the comic Ma, who lacks a little bit of the flash and flair of his MCU counterpart in terms of powers and stuff. Ma is very much just pure manipulation and black tongue and all that stuff. So he's very against his character to get fooled. Plays the long game. He's a chess player. I have momentarily thought about maybe throwing in a Star Lord to get that Guardians affiliation, like he just shows up.
well, I know who my tent is.
I know you've told me. You've told me with that sinister kind of grin on your face. So I know it's something. I know it's something awful.
Ghost Rider needs little dots. Little dots. I think I'm gonna do a chain. I did my original Ghost Rider with the like blazing hot chain. I think this Ghost Rider is gonna get the like metal chain.
Josh did show me chat. Josh did show me that Patton Oswalt was gifted a painted Mohawk, which is pretty amazing.
Oh yeah,
Super amazing.
I saw that on Twitter. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's very cool.
We've had a couple run-ins with famous people in Marvel Crisis Protocols.
It's true. It's always fun to see, especially like folks involved in Marvel or the properties, see what you're working on and get excited about it. It makes you feel like, oh, okay, we're doing it right. We always want to make sure that we're doing true by the comics and everything else. So it's fun. I also like it when people get really confused. It's like, this is amazing. I have no idea what it is. It's like it's that first step and into a larger universe there. And from that one painted MODOK, an entire Marvel Crisis Protocol collection grew.
Yeah.
Yeah. But MODOK is he's surprisingly popular among folks, even for being kind of a semi-obscure character. Although I feel like this new show is going to change all that.
Well, he was also in the video game.
He was. He's definitely had his moment to shine. Well after. In the last year and a half, I guess at this point.
I always loved those kind of designs in comic books. Like comic books allows for like those really interesting and off the wall designs, and I've always been drawn to those, like MODOK or Arnim Zola, right?
Read completely impractical giant face.
Yeah, like why not? Like it's comic books. It's supposed to be over the top and weird.
It's true. I mean, the fact that you can just draw it is pretty helpful. You don't have to worry about. It's similar to video game design. Art in general. It's like I don't really care how it works or functions because it's just a 2D. It's just 2D art.
Yeah, I don't need it to function at all.
But then, of course, you get to making a miniatures game out of it, and all of a sudden, we really do need it to function.
Oh yeah, then it absolutely has to function.
Would you stop with all of this Escher planing? Like, this is not helpful to us.
It's like, okay, that doesn't work, and like that costume literally doesn't work. How are we going to rectify this? Fire up the meeting. Time to chat.
Yep. It certainly can be a fun challenge and sometimes a frustrating challenge to be like, this is really cool, but how does it work in real life? I don't know. Nobody does. You got to figure that out. And then, of course, the biggest part of that is maintaining the original artistic integrity of whatever the art or the character design was. So you can't just suddenly get rid of something that is truly important to the character because it doesn't literally work in physical reality.
It's true. It's like one of the poses we did recently. It was very much a comic book cover pose, and then once we started getting in sculpt, it's just like, oh, that arm really doesn't work like that. Like from this angle, it's definitely the comic book cover, but that arm, that's not how arms work. We need to. Okay, let's talk.
Human beings don't bend like that, even if they are superpowered. Yep. That's all. And then, of course, it's not just can you put the miniature into a three-dimensional sculpt. You have to make sure that three-dimensional sculpt then works for production. And you had a great mini extravaganza panel with Marco about that, which I know is up on the YouTube if anybody hasn't seen it and is curious about all of the really the skill and artistry that goes into making a sculpt producible in hard plastic.
Yeah, and hard plastic is different than resin or metal or soft plastic. Like, so there's all these different. Just because something's producible in one material is another, and a lot going into these.
Very unique challenges and stuff, and it's fun and frustrating all at the same time, like any good artistic endeavor is.
Fun fact, if anybody has engineering skills, we're always looking for somebody. So if if you know how to make a hard plastic miniature, you should reach out to us.
Shameless plug.
I'm
There
just
it
trying to
is.
help Marco.
He deserves the help. Marco's a fine gentleman and a true scholar. Have you given any more thought now that you? Well, I mean, you know all 10 of your characters at this point.
I do know all 10. I
If
know
your statement is
exactly.
believed, have you given any thought to your crisis selection or your team tactic cards at all?
I have not gone into team tactics yet.
No,
No, not yet.
you're not quite there. You're not ready. You're not
No,
ready for that big step.
I'll tap Pagani for that.
Hmm. I mean, I definitely know one of mine has to be Rocket Boots, not only because I find that card to be hilariously phenomenal, but also because I have Taskmaster with Rocket Boots, so I feel like I'm locked into that one.
Yeah, you kind of painted yourself into a corner.
I did.
A
Converted
delicious
myself
corner.
into a corner, specifically.
I mean, it's a corner you wanted.
It was definitely a corner I chose. There's no doubt about that.
It's a corner of joy.
It is. It is. It truly is. No complaints. No regrets. Let's blue shade on our Venom here.
Trying to think what would I want in the team tactics card for my squad.
I mean, you do have access to all of the crazy Doctor Strange spell tactic cards, so
True.
that opens up some pretty wild options for you. What else do you have that's like specific to characters that you can now untap with all of your wild choices? Like Lethal Protector certainly has a strong pull. If you're going to take Venom, you almost are given to have Lethal Protector in a list because it just opens up his play possibilities and his threats so much. And it's just a great card. I mean, having him bodyguard against an attack you know you can survive, so many snacks. We are venoming. Oh, such a good combo. So I'll probably take that one. So that's 2. Oh, he's so shiny again. So there's 2 of the 8. I don't know what else I would take, honestly. I have to think about that.
I mean, when I go to a game store play, I'm the person that just like shows up, and then I'm like, oh, we're playing, and I just throw some points on the table and just make up my little squad and my story right then and there.
I definitely go through the roster building process and like I'm going to take these 10 characters and I'll take these cards. By the time I get to whatever table I'm going to be playing at, I don't care what the crisis is. I already know which characters I'm taking. Like, what's my squad? Like, well, I'm playing these characters. Why would you do that? Those don't make any sense. Because those are the characters I wanted to play.
Yeah.
I just built the roster, because that's what you do. But I already knew what I was doing with the roster.
Sorry, that's more what I mean. I just throw like my random nonsense together, and then I make up a team name.
You have to have a team name.
Well, last time I played, it was Team Science Squad.
Oh yeah, I like it.
So it was Shuri, Doc Ock, Iron Man. I can't remember who all was on there. Everybody was science.
I mean, Peter Parker's science.
I think Spider-Man was on there, yeah.
Yeah, Iron Man, he's sciencey, he fits the bill.
Team Science Squad, coming to save the day.
To save the day. Yeah, typically what I'll wind up doing when I start building squads and stuff is I'll go, okay, I want to play Inhumans, and then I'll pick all the Inhumans, and I'll kind of pick cards around that, and then I'll say what would be fun to play with Inhumans. Guardians. Let's do Guardians, and I'll fill everything else out, like a Star Lord and maybe a Rocket and Groot, maybe a couple of Guardians cards, and then I'll get to the table and be like, well, I'm playing Inhumans, so I'm taking all of these Inhuman characters, and I'll mix in like this one or two Guardians, like Rocket and Groot and Inhumans. Done. There's not a whole lot of strategy when it comes down to it.
Oh no.
I'd rather just make my strategy on the tabletop as I play rather than be super concerned about it before I get to the table. There's too many variables, and it might mean that I don't get to play the characters that I want to play.
Yeah, I want to play characters I want to play.
Gaming time is too limited to wind up in a situation where you're like, well, I guess I'll take these characters even though I don't particularly have an affinity for them, or I don't really love their play style, or I just really wanted to play with these things instead. It's like, yeah, then just do that. Figure out whatever works for that. And then come hell or high water, just do it. But certainly part of the thing that's part of that is just knowing your gaming group and who you're playing against, and making that kind of like known beforehand, you know? I always like to be pretty clear with my opponent that, you know, I'm just playing like a fun, cool list. It's going to be great. Let's do it. They're like, well, I really wanted to fine tune my super competitive tournament killer list. I mean, yeah, I'm probably not going to be the best litmus test for that.
Yeah, I'm not the one. I won't help you, or I'm not. I will help you. I'm just not going to help you very well.
Yeah, I will happily play against your list, you know, and I probably will suffer a little bit for it because I know I didn't pick the most efficient thing ever, because that's not my fun. But I'll still play against you. You just need to understand like what's going into this. Like,
yeah, beating me is not going to tune anything.
No, probably not. I mean, I might give you something to think about because I'm going to do some weird stuff. You'd be like, well, the optimal play would be to do this. I'm like, yeah, but the cool play is to do this, and I don't care about the optimal play. I'm here to just tell a Marvel story and push some things around. So yeah, I did that playtest the other day, actually. We were testing out some new stuff, and I was playing against Josh, and I started muttering to myself. The guy's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I'm just having a debate with myself. Like, do I want to do the optimal play or do I want to do the cool play? And the guy was like, the optimal play. And I said, yeah, but the optimal play doesn't actually show us anything that the characters can do. We know the optimal play works because it's go over there, grab that point, and score. But I want this character to go use this ability and punch that guy in the face. And he was like, fair point. I was like, exactly. So we did not do the optimal play. We did the cool play. And we learned a lot about the character and what they're capable of doing and some places to tweak, and that was the whole point of playtest too, so.
Oh, I just realized that I just put together what that playtest was.
I think you were in the office for it.
I was. I just couldn't remember who you were talking about.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long time before.
Yeah, well, we're way ahead in the world.
We are super far. So someday, folks in the chat, if you're still with us in like 3 years, you can come back. You can timestamp this, come back, and you'll know who we were talking about. Like, aha, nobody will care by then. It will be old news. It will be old news. Everyone will be focused on whatever the next thing is we can't talk about. Hasn't that been another really exciting and fun part about this kind of challenge series is that we've gone back into the super deep catalog of characters that, you know, have been sitting on my shelf forever, but outside of integrating them into certain playtests like lists or new affiliation forces or whatever, you don't really think about that hard in terms of like the work life. You know, I remember when all we talked about in the office was Venom or Thanos or whoever else. They just consumed months of our lives.
And I was like,
then,
oh yeah, Thanos.
Yeah.
We
now you're just like, yeah,
that.
we did that. I don't have time to really think about it, but we did it. It was great. I love Venom. But the only way I'm ever going to get to live that Venom life is, you know, you got to do the character again. It's kind of what it comes down to. Because Venom's done. You play with him on the table, but he's definitely not, he's not the focus at work. In the office, all the things we talk about, the conversations we have, the arguments we get to enjoy. This character should do this. This character should do that. Stop trying to make every street level character 6 threat, Josh. Stop it.
Stop.
Those are my favorite development meetings. Somebody just comes in with the super hot take about how X, Y, or Z character should be this powerful because this was my favorite run in the comics and they did this. Well, I don't know if you know this, but this character is beating up this character. It's like, every character's beating up every character at some point, Josh. That's not a justification. I'm picking on Josh, but we all do it. We all do it. And it's part of the fun.
I have a small list, and I don't even care what they do on the table.
A small list of?
Like Josh has his list of things he wants to see. Like what he jockeys for. We all do, right? My list is small, and it doesn't matter what they do on the table.
Just as long as they're there?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you know, Josh is more of a game, like a player, and you're definitely more on the hobbyist side, where the artistic and painting challenge is the part that really gets you going.
Yeah, just how cool is it going to be when it's all painted up and it's on the table and looking across to your opponent, and they're like, "Oh, I wish I had one of those."
Yeah, it's getting inspired doing that hobby project. Painting those characters in the way you want. Creating that roster. All that good stuff.
Morg 4 and 5. We're using just some. Well, I'm using just watercolor brushes.
I have. Go through your brush thing, Dallas. This is always a great one.
Yeah, your brush. People use all kinds of different brushes. I know a guy who paints professionally, and he uses the worst brushes you can possibly buy. Just real cheap dollar store brushes, and he's still just one of the best painters. What I like on brush, and Schick likes too, not to talk for Schick, but
I learned from you, so of course the student is going to follow the Sifu, sir.
There you go. So you want a big belly and a tiny point. So like a lot of good watercolor brushes have these big fat bellies and this little tiny point. That's what I look for. And you want natural hair brushes, and then just take care of them. But you know, whatever brush works for you works for you. Like I said, there's painters out there that use dollar store brushes, and they still paint to one of the highest levels that you can achieve. So play around, get a good watercolor brush. They might be a little more expensive, but you take care of them in the long run, you're going to have them longer, definitely cheaper.
Yeah,
Like
brush maintenance.
I'd rather spend $20 on a brush every 3 months than, you know, $5 on a brush every 2 weeks. Oh,
Yeah, I think another important bit of that is to know that if you're using the brush with any kind of frequency, they're not forever friends either. So even the best brush is going to wear out on you, in 3 months or 5 months. Every once in a while, you get that mythical brush that lasts for years and just seems to survive anything, and it becomes the most trusted of old friends. But those brushes are the exception. They're not the rule.
Every now and then, like when I was studio painting, a typical brush for 8 hours a day for a studio painter, 5 days a week, I get a good 3 months out of them a lot of times. But yeah, there's always that one brush you're just like, I can't retire it. It's janky as heck, but boy, oh boy, it just does all the things right.
It kind of goes back to talking about the professional painter who uses the cheap dollar store brushes. Once you know how a tool works and you become really proficient at it, that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
You know its quirks and its foibles.
You just know how it's going to behave.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you're trying to do is like learn how it's going to behave.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest lessons or like revelations that I ever had from practicing and working with like you and other painters is you stop trying to make the brush do things and let the brush and the paint do what they want to do.
Oh yeah.
Because if you stop fighting it and instead just kind of accept, like learn to work with the way in which they act naturally, it becomes so much easier to do detail work, to paint, to have brush control, all that stuff. Like imposing your will on the stuff doesn't work. You have to learn how to work. Like you have to learn how to work within what it does. So learning the capillary action of the paint, learning how the flow works, learning how the brush wants to respond to the surface area, all that stuff. Like, and it just makes painting way more enjoyable because you kind of just sit back and guide everything rather than be like, it does this.
Like this brush right now is terrible. Like it's not even holding a point, but I know exactly how it's not holding a point. So I can still use it.
Mm-hmm.
Become one with the brush.
Become one with the brush. I like it. Alright, let's block in some reds on this venom. Now that wash is dried.
Cyber Insanity, there are no more picks. Every character has been picked except for our secret characters.
It's true.
So we have 9 characters.
We do.
I have 10 because I know my 10th.
You do. I do not. I do not know my 10th yet, but I'm open to suggestions, chat. Who goes with our eclectic mix of Rocket Raccoon, Gamora, Punisher, Venom, Enchantress, Taskmaster, Thanos, Ebony Maw?
Who belongs on the Revengers of the Galaxy?
Who belongs in the Revengers of the Galaxy?
Oh, right on the gas tank. Trying
Like
to
to
decide if
be.
I want to put a flame job on here or not.
I was told before we started streaming that was definitely happening. So,
Well, you know,
what's with this wishy-washy Dallas Kemp nature here? This is not. This is not the way it's supposed to go.
it's a lot of work.
I did indeed get Ebony Maw, and I kind of wonder what threat Simone made to one Mr. BK in order to ensure that I did get Ebony Maw, because I don't feel like the voting was quite going in that direction. I sense some collusion here.
Yeah, this is some like Dade County stuff here.
I definitely sense some collusion. But it's fine. I'm very happy to have an Ebony Maw. I don't entirely know who in their right mind would allow a Thanos on board with an Ebony Maw. But, you know. It's like I was saying last week. I can believe that somebody would trust Thanos because we've seen it happen before. But trusting Thanos when Ebony Maw's in tow with him, not a chance. Nobody's that foolish. Except for apparently the Revengers of the Galaxy.
Look, the Revengers, you know, they're led by a raccoon.
Is that who leads them? I don't think we've established who the leader actually is.
I mean, I know when my squad looks across at that squad, I'm just assuming the raccoon's in charge.
The raccoon's in charge? The trash panda's in charge? I mean, there's an argument that the Punisher is in charge because he stole all of Star-Lord's clothes.
It's true. We know it's actually the Punisher. The Punisher is leading this band of miscreants.
But then I go back to, like, the Punisher doesn't really want to lead anybody, so...
Well, it's one of those de facto moments, right? It's like...
Oh, where they're just like, what do we do? And Frank's like, we fight.
We punish.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. The Punisher definitely is kind of like the Hulk in that different creative teams kind of treat his sanity and his intelligence level in different ways. There are definitely Hulks that I would believe over time people would follow and could be team leaders. Much like there have been Punishers who are not so crazy that I would be like, yeah, he's extreme, but I can understand why somebody would believe following him would be a good idea. And then there are Punisher runs, much like Hulk runs, where I'm like, nobody's going to listen to this person because they are clearly absolutely insane.
I mean, maybe it's just one of those things, like, no one's in charge.
Oh, my gosh. You know that's not how it works, though. Somebody's always in charge. Somebody is always in charge.
You gotta have a team leader.
I kind of feel like...
Who's leading this team?
I mean, if nothing else, you have to have the leader, even if they're not the actual leader, so you can have those fun comedic moments where they try to be in charge, but nobody listens to them. Comics are full of those. I might change my mind on the eyes being red. We'll see how it goes. It might be too much red. But I do think Rocket as the leader, I mean, I can see that. I can see that being the creative choice. Let the grumpy raccoon lead them. Oh, the Ant-Man. It's true. Scott Lang. We did talk. I mean...
He's been brought up several times.
He's been brought up a couple of times now. He would definitely be a great comedic side character for the Revengers. You know, you need your goofy Scott Lang to put into context the more grim and dour personalities of everyone else on this team.
I'm liking this Rocket Raccoon thing. Is like he's like, hey, the world's been blown up. I need your help. And they're like, oh, so you're putting together a team? No, I'm not putting together a team. I'm just saying we should do something. Right, so you're putting together a team. No, I'm not putting together the team. He said, we need some help. All right, we'll join your team. I'm not putting together a team.
It's your ship, though, right? Well, yeah, it's my ship. Then it's your team. The unwritten rule of comic book superheroes. Whoever rides leads. The driver always leads.
Oh, Ghost Rider's the leader then.
Well, does he drive the team everywhere, though? He only drives himself on his motorcycle.
I mean, oh, he doesn't even have a. He doesn't even have a.
He doesn't even have a sidecar. Like, he's not taking anybody with him.
He needs a sidecar.
See, that's...
Marco, sculpt me a sidecar.
Oh, Marco's going to sculpt you a sidecar, but I have to make my own Thanos cloak? Excuse me, sir. No.
Whoa.
That's not how this works.
Who would I put in Ghost Rider's sidecar?
Wong.
Yeah.
A very terrified Wong. That's not true. Wong's seen everything. He wouldn't be scared.
Whatever. Great. Oh, you're doing a wheelie? Cool. Oh, you're jumping buses? Yeah.
We're just taking a stroll through the hellscape that is the land of the damned. That's fine.
That's fine.
I've seen worse. Have you seen Strange's Basement? No? Well, then I don't think that you can tell me that I'm wrong, sir. Let's do the little pads. I liked your idea of doing the hand pads in red too.
Oh, the little things on back.
Yeah, the webbing pads. The place where his symbiote webbing comes out.
Oh, double A minis. Lockjaw's in the sidecar. Duh.
Does a Hell Cycle need a teleporting inhuman dog in the sidecar?
That sounds amazing.
Also, how large is this sidecar?
Oh, the Lockjaw's squeezed in there.
Oh my gosh. Are his eyes all bulged out because he's so squeezed?
If it fits, it sits. Look,
fascinating.
I'm ready to put my Lockjaw together.
I did just give you a Lockjaw today.
Yeah, I had to get a Lockjaw from Chip.
I don't know if I'm sold on the red eyes, but we're gonna continue to play with it. Stady 7. I mean, you're right. He was the chief law enforcer. I don't know if that's a leadership role, though. I guess in some ways, it's definitely upper management for sure. I almost feel like this Venom needs a teal tongue.
Ooh.
I'm not entirely certain if we're gonna try magenta and just see what happens, but I feel like we're gonna start clashing with our reds here a little bit. I have a magenta. Oh, that's a good question. I have to find it.
Talk to us about Omega Red. What do you want to know? Omega Red's amazing. One of my favorite characters.
We actually had a whole segment during Mini Stravaganza, again during Dallas and Marco's panel on plastic sculpting and production and stuff, where we showed off Omega Red for the first time. So if you want to see the actual plastic of Omega Red, you can go back and watch that video and also learn all about kind of how we approach doing the tentacles and the different challenges that were there, and making those tentacles one piece.
Yeah.
Which was really awesome. And I know gave Marco fits for a while.
It's one of those interesting
Evan as
things,
well.
right? Like, we just keep learning more and more on how to approach stuff, and now we can make, Omega Red tentacles in one piece. It's crazy cool.
Yeah, but if you want to take a really good look at that miniature and see everything that's going on. That panel, what was it called? Do you remember the name of the panel?
Boy. I had a feeling the whole time you were talking, I knew you were going to ask me that.
Oh yeah, I don't remember the name of the panel. It wasn't my panel though, so I don't feel as bad about it.
I mean, it was Marco's panel.
Oh, is that where we're going with this? BK knows. He's
Look, I haven't been sent my sidecar yet, so you know.
It's true. Dallas has picked his secret character, and I have not. I'm going back and forth on everything, trying to figure it out. So,
I might have even started my secret character.
No, the tentacles are 100% thicker than Ghost Rider's chains.
I have the plastic. Can I show the plastic?
I was gonna say I have my plastic, but it's like right out of arm's reach, so I don't think I can get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've showed the character. I don't see why not.
BK,
It's all official and done.
I'm gonna let BK give me permission.
Yeah. Let the boss chime in here.
But I have the plastic right here.
It's ready to go.
Well, he's on the get ready to prime.
It's true. You're gonna be painting him on stream in some future episode, right?
Yeah. All right. So everybody knows how big Ghost Rider is. We need to scoot back. Like, look at that Omega Red. And then, so I'm painting the tentacles separate.
Mm-hmm.
So he looks super cool when you put him all together.
Is that the Omega Red song?
That's the Omega. That's the song he sings. He's like, who dares summon Omega Red?
Oh.
Omega Red, he's super cool when he's all together.
I was gonna say this song sounds more like you're putting it together at a lunch table with like your mom, and it becomes a fun family activity.
I don't think my mom knows who Omega Red is.
Full of nutritious and delicious opportunity.
Opportunity should always taste delicious.
Should they? I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. I think plenty of opportunity tastes bitter and sour, but later on it becomes like the right move.
I love Omega Red. It's like, anytime in a Wolverine comic book Omega Red showed up, I was always just like, oh, here we go!
I feel like Omega Red always harkened to the end of whatever Wolverine story arc was being told.
Yeah. That's what it felt
It was like, okay, things have been going, they've been going, and then it's like, Omega Red, and you're like, well, I guess we have 4 issues, and then this is over. Move on to the next thing.
Oh, Wolverine was so close to figuring out his past, and then Omega Red showed up.
That's true. You'd have the Sabretooth fight first.
Yeah.
So Sabretooth would come up, they'd battle for a while, and be like, of course it was Sabretooth. Victor Creed all along. And then that would end, and you'd be kind of closer, or they'd be right on the cusp, and then, of course, Omega Red would show up. You'd be like, well, that's the end of that.
It's like Omega Red coming to wreck your house.
Oh, dear. Seems overly aggressive, Mr. Omega Red.
Look, he's an aggressive dude. He's got those death spores.
He does. He needs to drain your life forces to keep himself alive. It's not his fault. He didn't read the warning labels on the carbonadium coils before he signed the waiver to get them attached to his arms. So what was he supposed to do? Oh my gosh, it's 2 o'clock.
Oh.
Time has flown by.
Boo.
I know. I know, but we have meetings and such. We have
It's
so many things. I just mixed this color too, which is really disappointing. I was not clock watching at all. I was just into it.
I know. I just mixed my highlight for my magentas.
Well, on the plus side, we'll be back next Thursday. This Thursday. Next Thursday. I mean, next Thursday is this Thursday.
I mean, if you want to get pedantic.
I do.
Ugh.
I don't want to be wrong. I don't actually care. I'm wrong all the time. So yeah. So chat. I hope you had fun hanging out,
Ditto.
shooting all the S with us today, talking about Marvel Crisis Protocol, comic books, nonsense. If a Rocket Raccoon can lead a team of intergalactic Revengers, we'll be back on Thursday for more May roster challenge painting fun. Be sure to check in to the stream tomorrow to see John Schaefer and Michael Plummer as they continue work on their hobby projects for the month of May. And of course, we'll be back one more time on Friday as well at 1 p.m. Pacific.
Oh, I'm on Friday.
Closing out the month. Yeah, I think. Are you on Friday? I thought you were tomorrow. I don't know. I don't know.
Wait, maybe I'm tomorrow.
Maybe you're tomorrow and I got it all wrong. It doesn't matter. There'll be awesome painting stuff going on tomorrow. Yeah, you're on tomorrow with Michael Plummer. I'm on Friday with John Schaefer.
Oh.
And of course, we'll be back next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific. Till then, chat, everybody out there in the community, have a wonderful time. Continue to hobby on. Get some games in, have fun, be beautiful to each other. We'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Bye, y'all. Omega Red is so cool. He's got carbonanium tentacles.